We are just north of a place called Glen Fenzie, and I'm super excited because we've come to find a lithophone, or a found instrument, and this one's called the ringing stain. So I'm really excited to try it out and see how it works. That's so much fun. So apparently the stone rings because it's a rock that's incredibly compact and it doesn't have any cracks. And these ringing stones are usually granite, and there is a ton of granite around Aberdeenshire. So it's must be a good place to find ringing stones. But I've never heard of these. It was just an accident coming across it last night while we were looking where we should go this weekend. Never heard of them, never found one. Like, I think it's so cool. So the first part of the plan today is to walk past an abandoned farm called Glen Fenzie and then head up to a peak. So the peak has no name. It's 638 meters, which makes it a Graham, I believe. And it's adjacent to a peak called Tomliath. So that's the first part of the plan. It's really hot today. It's 22 degrees and very humid. And neither of us are particularly great in the heat, so I'm gonna give us an out. Like, I'm not gonna say what the second part of the plan was yet. There is a potential second part, but who knows if we'll get there. So I guess the first thing, if you walk this route, so I had read that there was an apiary on the route to Glen Fenzie, but the account that I read was really old. So I was like, well, I don't know if the bees are still going to be there. I had also read that the bees were really nasty and that people had got stung. So I was a little bit nervous. I mean, it was years ago. The bees have probably, or definitely, been requeened. They're probably super fine now, but just in case, we kind of like went off path a little bit and just walked away from the hives. But yeah, definitely something to be aware of. I didn't film any of it because I was too busy holding Mattia's hand as we walked past the bees. But yeah, just something to keep in mind. start climbing up the hill, I feel like I should elaborate on the bee thing. So I appreciate the irony of being, or having been, a honeybee researcher and yet needing to hold my partner's hand past an apiary. So if I'm in a bee suit in an apiary, I'm alright. I've been happier, but I'm fine. If I'm not wearing a bee suit and I'm around honeybees, I'm uncomfortable, but I'm okay. But wasps is another matter entirely. So I've recently had hypnotherapy to try and get rid of my fear of wasps, which is highly irrational. I've been stung twice. I didn't enjoy it, it hurt, but I was okay. I've never been in a particularly bad situation with them, but my fear was getting so strong that if I was walking down the street and I had a wasp near me, my brain was telling me that it was better to run into the road, into the traffic, to be away from the wasp than to just stay on the pavement and have it fly around me. So that was a real battle that I would have to have in my head. And it was just like the sheer panic I felt when I saw a wasp was just totally out of proportion, and I couldn't control it. Like, there was no moment of thinking, this is silly, it's irrational, it's probably not going to hurt you, it doesn't even care about you. And I'd watch other people being calm and think, see, they can do it, they're fine. But there wasn't any time for that sort of rational thought. So anyway, I went to get hypnotherapy, had 3 sessions with a lovely lady called Arlene Wilson in Aberdeen. But there aren't that many wasps around at the moment. So I'm in this kind of like limbo where I don't want to see wasps because I don't like them and I don't want to find out that it's not worked. But I also do want to be put into situations with wasps to see if it has worked and to test it. And honestly, if I'm still afraid, but I've managed to kind of get my fear levels down to just being uncomfortable like I am with bees, then I'm kind of happy with that. But yeah, I'm not super sure where it's come from, but anything buzzing that could sting me, I'm just really not a fan of. I find them scientifically interesting. Don't particularly want them near me unless I'm wearing a suit. So yeah, that's the explanation of why I work on bees, but also have to hold my partner's hand past some. I don't think it's someone shooting because it's not the right time of year, but there's a gas gun going off and we both just shot ourselves. It's like way up on the other hill, not one we're going up, but still. So, well, we didn't make it up to the top of Tom Liath or the neighbouring hill just because there was no clear path up there. It was all really like thick heather and juniper, and quite frankly neither of us were that bothered to just, you know, climb through heather to get to a like cairn or a trig point, so we just kind of walked around it. But we were close. We could see the top. And then sort of we decided that we'd do part 2 of our plan, because we're still feeling good and strong and having a good time. So we're actually walking towards Morven Lodge, and on the way to Morven Lodge, which is now abandoned and partially ruined, we bumped into a chap who was using a digger to fix, oh, is that a mole? Or a stoat? It's something. Oh, and there's part of it there. No, it's a rabbit that's just been torn apart. Oh. Sorry, I digress. We bumped into a chap that was digging the road, and he was so friendly. He stopped and he talked to us for ages, and I can't remember like everything that he told us, but he was basically saying that Morven Lodge was owned by people, I can't remember their names. They made marmalade, and then they moved to another place called Craigendarroch, and they used the stones of Morven Lodge to build Craigendarroch. But like, we're in the middle of nowhere, like literally in the middle of nowhere, and he was saying they would have used horse and cart to carry all that stone out, which just seems absolutely wild to me. Yeah, so the main lodge is gone, the main farmhouse, but we're left with the shepherd's hut, the laundry, the stables, and the kennels, I believe. So we're going to have a little look around there now. I didn't find out this guy's name or where he's from in the area, but honestly, like, it's so nice bumping into people on a walk like that and having local knowledge. Yeah, so nice. Graffiti feels less like graffiti when it's from 1973. We're just on the way back to the car now. We had lunch at the old laundry, which now seems to be like a hunting lodge. And now we're heading back, but we're heading back the quick way. The guy we met in the digger suggested a path that runs towards Larry and then to follow the river back. But it's quite a bit longer, I think, looking at the map. And although it sounds very pretty, I think we're going to take the easy option. It's already about 3:30. So yeah, we're just going to cut straight back to Glen Fenzie, not Glen Fenzie. Looks like Glen Fenzie, pronounced Glen Fenzie. So now we know better.